We are now going to talk about how digital transformation in making the shift in how networks and services get operated in a service provider network. So let's start with the old model. In the old model, the focus was on ensuring that the health of the network was fine, making sure that all your components in the network were healthy, they were functioning properly, they were performing properly. There was less emphasis on looking at the end-to-end services. The assumption being that if the network was fine, then the services would be fine. Now, in the new world, with which increasing focus on customers, I think what service providers are trying to do now is to focus on the customers and the health of application and services that they are consuming in a more direct fashion, not assuming that when the network is fine, the services will be fine. Because in many cases, the network may work fine, but some of the services may have higher latency. Some of the services may be seeing some degradation, even for a short period of time, but the network itself may be performing fine. So what we need now is a direct focus on customers and the health of applications and services. Now, how do you get this? How do you make sure that this is what is ensured? The key is you need to rely on network data. Network data is the actual source of how consumers and other customers are interacting with the network. And using this network data, you can get a direct handle on how their services are performing. Then, once you have the right data, because without good data, whatever you do with poor data, you're not going to get good results. So, good data, number one requirement. Once you have good data, then you need to rely on analytics, algorithms that utilize machine learning, artificial intelligence to be able to make predictive decisions. One thing that is different from the past is there was more reactive break-fix type operational focus. Once there is a problem, you call into the help desk, and then the customer would solve your problem and troubleshoot it. Now there is more emphasis on predictive decision making, being able to predict problems and prevent problems before they actually happen in your network. Third one, reliance on automation. Once you detect a potential problem, you could still take some time to be able to put corrective things in place if you're involved in manual systems, decision making, and so on. With automation, the focus from predicting what might happen to actually taking a corrective action can be minimized dramatically before services are actually impacted. So reliance on automation, corrective action before services are impacted is another key point. Now let's go back and look at what are the main categories of data sources that you can utilize. The first one is, of course, from the infrastructure itself. So this is where hypervisors, virtual switches, they give you information on CPU utilization, memory utilization, storage utilization. But this data is not service specific. It is good for capacity planning, for making sure that you have enough horsepower in your network to be able to deliver these services appropriately. So this is good, but it serves a different purpose. The second source of network data is the network elements themselves. Things like switches, routers, firewalls, load balancers, DNS servers, DHCP servers, all of them produce data about how the traffic is flowing through them. There are two problems with this source of data. First of all, it's very vendor dependent. So every vendor has its own way of creating this data. So it becomes very fragmented. From a service level point of view, how do you integrate all these disparate sources of data into a common end-to-end view becomes a problem that the service providers, it falls on them to be able to solve this particular challenge of creating an end-to-end service view. So that becomes the difficulty with using network element data. The third source of data, which is network traffic, which is actually looking at the packets that are going from an end customer to an application or from one end customer to another customer. This is the most direct way to monitor the service level because the packets carry all the information that you need to be able to analyze what's happening with the service. Another advantage, it's vendor independent because you're looking at packets, you're not looking at data that is being provided to you from any particular vendor. The third one, it's universally available. You can pick up network packets from the radio access network, from the edge of the network, from the core of the network. So it's available everywhere. It's pervasive. So you can pick up this network traffic in the most direct way, in the most vendor-independent way, and then be able to create your end-to-end service view. So this is where Netscout excels. We have perfected the art of monitoring and using network traffic to be able to help solve a plethora of problems that you see in the network in a predictive, proactive way so your customer experience is not negatively impacted.